Hello, hello, hello. Mouth Greg here. Today, we're going to discuss how body weight relates to arm wrestling. I've already made one video on this, but it wasn't a very good one, so we're going to try a little bit different tactic today. I've got my buddy here, Adam Eargang. He is a mechanical engineer, and he might have a few things to say on this, but basically, how body weight relates. Your elbow is pinned to a pad. So anything you do, your elbow has to stay on that pad. So if I pull back like this on Adam, which Adam weighs, what, about 250 pounds? He weighs about 250, I weigh about 210. Okay, we're both strong, we're both pulling hard, and I've got all my strength right here. If I lose my arm like this, go ahead and take me over, Adam. I have nothing. I can resist him with absolutely nothing.
Nothing but his bicep.
Nothing but my bicep. However, if I'm uptight like this, then I have something. And now leaning, I can lean all I want. With my elbow on this pad, like I've said in my other videos, nothing's stopping my arm from going backwards. No amount of leaning like this is keeping me from doing this and giving up my arm. Everything has to go through my elbow, through my forearm, in order to be efficient at all. So even with Adam's massive weight, go ahead and lean back, Adam, and give up that arm a little bit. See where he's at right now? Go ahead and try and pull me over. He can't. He has nothing. My arm is in a tight V. We're not going
Maybe they're going
anywhere.
to say I wasn't leaning in the right direction. Let me try a few more.
All right. From there, he's got nothing. No matter as big and strong as Adam is, and he's bigger than me, he's stronger than me, he has nothing as soon as he loses that arm.
It doesn't do me any good to move my body. You know, a lot of times what happens is you see some arm wrestling match. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go. And so what happens is I moved and he didn't. And people who don't know arm wrestling see it and they say, oh, well, that guy used his body weight. Well, of course he won. Well, the thing is, Matt's, okay, ready, go. You know, Matt's trying to use his body weight too, and I'm trying to use mine. But if you've arm wrestled a few thousand times, you're not going to go this way if you can't take your arm with you. So whoever loses isn't going to look like they used their body weight because they weren't strong enough to. You're not going to get ahead of your arm. Whoever can maintain this position, their body's going to go with their arm.
A fabulous example of this is when Devin Larratt arm wrestled Mountain from Game of Thrones. Okay, and everyone said, oh, Devin Larratt used his body weight to take him over. Look at that, he's crawling under the table, blah, blah, blah. Hathor tried multiple times, if you watch, to pull back and pull back and pull back, and every time he did, Devin Larratt's static arm strength pulling backwards was so strong that he wasn't going anywhere, and his arm was just extending over and over again. And so, if Mountain would have done this, suddenly he's got no arm strength. If he threw his body weight, all 418 pounds or whatever he weighs, has to go through his arm, has to go through his bicep into his arm.
Another thing you hear a lot is you hear, well, arm wrestling's all technique. Well, that's sort of true, but the technique's really pretty simple. The more correct way to explain it would be the arm wrestler has strength in the right places. You know, most people's bicep, if they're doing curls, they're really going to have more strength when their arm is a little straighter than when it's all the way curled. If you don't believe me, turn your preacher bench. Okay, you do preacher curls. You know, you do preacher curls, your arm's kind of propped out a little bit. Turn it around, go over the other side and see if you can lift the same amount of weight. When your bicep's all the way flexed, most people can't curl the same amount. But the arm wrestler trains to have strength when their bicep is flexed so that they can maintain this lock. Or you don't need to do a curl. You already start with your bicep lock. You just need to maintain it. And if you can maintain that, then you really can use more of your weight because your arm is strong enough to allow you to hang off your arm. You can't use any weight that your arm can't take, that your arm can't handle. Another example of using weight, let me think what I'm going to say. Here, go ahead and grip up with me. When I said earlier that it looks like the guy who didn't use his weight, that's because he didn't have a chance. He wanted to. And a real good example of that is if we're going to press. Okay, so pressing, I'm going to stay on top of my arm. So if Matt is strong enough to resist my press, give me some resistance. If he's strong enough to resist my press, I'm not getting on top of my arm. I'm not, because I can't move. I can't move down if my arm doesn't go with me. So
And if
of course I'm not gonna look like I'm using weight. So if I try to press you and you pin me, go ahead. Then it didn't look like I used my weight.